Hi, I'm Ed Klobuchar. I have the distinct honor and privilege of serving as your city manager. On Tuesday, February 24th, the voters in the city of Hazel Park will make the most critical decision in our city's history. They will decide whether or not they are going to continue to provide resources so that we can provide you with outstanding city services. On Tuesday, February 24th, Hazel Park voters will be asked to approve the SMORSA millage. That stands for South Macomb Oakland Regional Services Authority. In a nutshell, what that is a cooperative arrangement with the city of East Point to enable us to provide a funding source for us to continue to provide fire protection for the residents of the city of Hazel Park. This does not mean that we will be combining fire departments with East Point. It is only a funding mechanism. By funding our services, our fire protection services, with a separate authority, this will enable us to have enough revenue to provide the other important critical services that you enjoy in the city of Hazel Park, such as police services, public works, snow plowing, and other critical services that you've come to depend on to keep you safe. I can't stress enough how critically important this millage election is. If this fails, the city of Hazel Park will not be able to provide services to you the way we have in the past. It is likely that emergency medical services will be provided by a private service company. Those companies have dramatically longer response times, sometimes as long as 15 to 20 minutes. And in an instance when even seconds matter when it comes to saving lives, those minutes can be the difference between someone surviving a critical incident or not surviving. Again, I can't stress to you how important this millage is. We've been masters of doing more with less, but now it's become increasingly difficult for us to try to do something with nothing. This millage is a very low cost to our residents, only 38 cents a day. If this millage fails, undoubtedly you will pay higher costs in increased homeowners insurance than you will for this millage, and you will be dramatically less safe. In the past few years, we've improved our fire rating through the ISO process. Our police department has brought us the lowest crime statistics since the 1950s in the city of Hazel Park, and we are performing our public works function with a majority of part-time employees. We've reduced the number of employees at City Hall from 24 clerical employees to only 8 full-time employees. I'm proud of the fact that we've been able to maintain our service levels in the face of those reductions. Accompanying those reductions have been over 10 years of regressive contract negotiations in which our employees have repeatedly been asked for and have given contract concessions. Our employees have taken pay cuts, they've reduced their health insurance benefits, and we have curtailed pension benefits and retiree health care for new employees. We've done everything that we can to control costs. We have been innovative, and we have constantly looked for ways to achieve alternative funding sources for our city services. We've utilized grants, we've utilized gifts. Unfortunately now, we are at a situation when those resources have been exhausted. We ask you to make a small investment in our community's future and allow us to continue to provide the outstanding and very cost-effective services that we provide to you today.
My name is Martin Barner, and I'm your Chief of Police. Over the last few years, we have experienced some of the most dramatic reductions in crime in our city's history. This has been accomplished even though we have continued to struggle with staffing and manpower issues and have had to become creative in finding alternative funding mechanisms for equipment. We will continue to do the absolute best that we can as a city to keep you safe. But make no mistake about it, we live and work one street away from one of the most dangerous cities in America, and we hope to be able to continue to provide you with these exemplary emergency services. Thank you.
I'm Fire Chief Rich Story of the Hazel Park Fire Department, and I would like to share some information about our department and the SMORSA millage. The fire department has been continuously picked apart piece by piece since 2008. As the city manager has explained, with some state share revenue cuts, the housing collapse, and our poorly run state government, we have reduced our manpower from 7 men daily to 5 men. We've taken across the board cuts in wages and benefits. We've even gone so far as to fund 6 personnel with federal grant. We've received a new fire engine with a grant. We've purchased a used ambulance. We've purchased used Jaws of Life. And we fortunately received a donation of a new kitchen to replace the 50-year-old one we had. That's not the bad news. If the SMORSA millage doesn't pass, the fire and emergency services of the Hazel Park Fire Department will be drastically changed. The fire department's paramedic ambulance will be eliminated, leaving the citizens of Hazel Park to receive a private emergency medical service, which not only increases the response times from our average of 3 minutes to 10 to 15 minutes, but also changes the level of service that's given to the citizens and people that come to our city, which means longer waits for emergency medicine and care for your emergency. The fire response would be cut in terms of personnel on the scene. Our aggressive firefighting, along with the mutual aid agreements with our neighbors, would be changed dramatically. With 4 personnel less, we cannot perform interior firefighting. If the Hazel Park Fire Department doesn't have the personnel to return our mutual aid assistance, those agreements with our neighbors will be abolished. So basically, if your building catches on fire, we will make sure that it doesn't spread to your neighbors. So make sure you get all the facts concerning the SMORSA millage that is being voted on February 24th, and I thank you for your time.
Chris Duber, I'm the Director of Public Works for the City of Hazel Park. I come to you today to ask for your support for the SMORSA millage. Without the SMORSA millage, we may not be able to provide the same services that we're providing for you today. I take great pride in the services that my department provides for the community of Hazel Park. Plowing snow, keeping the parks clean, street sweeping, and all of those services that we provide for you now may suffer if this millage isn't passed. We've cut our workforce by 50% at this Department of Public Works. We haven't bought very much new equipment over the years. We've just refurbished our old equipment. We've cut every cost that we can possibly cut to keep the services provided to you. So please, on Tuesday, February 24th, please vote yes for the SMORSA millage.
It's important for everyone to understand Michigan's system of municipal finance is fundamentally broken. During the 2000s, the state of Michigan balanced its budget at the expense of schools, hospitals, roads, and local governments. With new cuts nearly every year, Hazel Park's state shared revenue total has dropped 40% over the past 10 years. These continuous cuts have cost us over $10 million in total lost revenue. To illustrate this, when I took over as city manager in 2002, our state shared revenues were $1 million more every year. As you can see, there's been a consistent decline in those revenues. The state of Michigan has chosen to balance its own budget at the expense of local governments. The state of Michigan has clearly failed to meet its obligations to the local governments that provide you with the critical services that you need for your safety and your protection. Exacerbating this problem is the loss in taxable value that all communities in southeast Michigan suffered after the property crash of 2008. This is not unique to the city of Hazel Park. In fact, almost all of these problems are not unique to the city of Hazel Park. But as you can see here, this dramatic decline cost us a substantial amount in value, and that resulted in a significant loss of tax dollars. More than 50% of Hazel Park's taxable value has been lost since the property value crash of 2008. And here you see that we went from $327 million of taxable value in 2008 to just over $150 million of taxable value in 2014. That is a cut well over 50%. That means that our revenues from property taxes declined in a corresponding amount. Here you can see our general fund property tax revenues. Now you can see that we have in fiscal year 2012 a little bit of an increase, and the green is what we achieved from our millage that we passed in 2011. Unfortunately, that millage generated less money than we expected immediately because of the fact there was a significant decline in property value that year. The following year, we were achieving less money from both millages than we were the year before the millage increase. Remember, that was the same year that I came to Hazel Park voters and said, if we don't pass this millage increase, we are going to not be able to provide you with the critical services that you deserve. Here, this chart illustrates our taxable value per capita. What that means is you take the total taxable value of a community and you divide it by the number of residents in that community. As you can see here, the city of Hazel Park has the lowest taxable value in the area except for the city of Hamtramck. We are lower than Detroit, we are lower than Pontiac, we are lower than East Point, Highland Park, and Royal Oak Township. And the critical difference between the city of Hazel Park and those communities is that Hazel Park and East Point are the only two communities that are not under state emergency financial management. 100% of the loss and a fraction of the gain. That's what we're locked into with the interaction between the Headley Amendment and Proposal A. It's important for our residents to understand that as property values go up, our taxable value does not go up at the same rate. Our revenues are locked in a vice. We can only get the rate of inflation from our existing tax base. So if property values were to increase magically to their pre-2008 crash levels, it would take us over 20 years just to get back to where we were before the property values crashed. So remember, the Headley Amendment says you can't get more than the rate of inflation from your existing tax base. Proposal A says that your taxable value can only go up 5% of the rate of inflation, whatever is less. Those two constitutional amendments interact in such a way as that they leave our property values locked, our revenues from property value locked in a vice. I'm very proud of this slide because this slide shows that we do our very best to keep our costs down. Here in the city of Hazel Park, and these are 2013 numbers, so I think our numbers are even better now with some of the cost savings that we've implemented in both our police and fire departments. But as you can see, the city of Hazel Park has the lowest cost per resident for police and fire protection of any of our surrounding communities. And that's particularly impressive because we are bordering the city of Detroit and we have some aging housing stock. So both of those departments have some unique challenges that many of our neighboring communities do not face. So you can see here that we are doing our very best to control your costs and provide you these services in a very cost-effective manner. How much will SMORSA cost you? Again, the SMORSA millage will only cost you an average of 38 cents per day. With this, the average Hazel Park homeowner would still pay only 80% of what voters agreed to pay in 2011. So remember, we passed that millage better than 75% approval. This is less than what we asked you to pay in 2011. But I can't stress to you how critically important it is that we pass this millage so that we can provide you those critical services. Here we have an example of the average annual tax bill for a Hazel Park resident. This shows that in Hazel Park, the average city tax bill is only $640. In Ferndale, it's $1,089. In Madison Heights, it's over $1,200. In Royal Oak, it's over $1,600. We do a very good job of providing services for our residents at an extremely low cost. Again, what we can't do is provide you services for nothing. So it's important that we have at least the bare minimum of resources necessary to provide you with minimum staffing for these departments. Please remember, this is the most critical decision that the voters of the city of Hazel Park will make in our city's history. Please remember the SMORSA millage, Tuesday, February 24th. Thank you so much.